There was a time when Labour was all about socialism. Well, not exactly, but most of it was about socialism. There was things like equality and social class. Everybody had to be the same. Everything had to be shared out equally amongst the people. The rich people didn't earn more than the poor, and the poor didn't earn any less than the rich. But unfortunately, that idea is a bit too far-fetched, so they had to change it. For Labour, we believe that money should be spread out and redistributed to the poor. You see this fella here?
Oh, hello.
So what do you do, sir?
I work in a bank.
Ah, a bank. So, this kind of lad is the kind of lad that we're talking about. He earns far too much money for his own good. But if we redistributed all the wealth that he earns himself to all the people in need, which is the opportunity that people need to earn the money, because some people it's not their fault that they don't earn money. They've just been thrust into that sort of life and they have absolutely no charge for it themselves. So, this guy, how much do you earn a year, sir?
A few pounds.
You're too modest to tell me, aren't you, sir?
Yes, yes.
Of course he is, he wears a nice cheap suit. But this kind of guy is, although a very nice guy, he earns far too much money. So, if we take all his money off him, give it and spread it out to all the people who need it, and then give him just a little bit, enough that he needs, and then he'll be absolutely fine, won't you, sir? I'm sure you'll agree with me. Yes, well anyway, your opinion doesn't matter because you're in a suit. So, that's basically what I'm talking about. Redistributing all the wealth to all the people. And, of course, we've got to talk about opportunity. There's people in this world who, it's not their fault that they can't earn money, whether it's a disability or something like that, it doesn't matter, it's not their fault. So, this idea is to give them the chance to earn money, give them opportunities to earn money, and then they'll be able to flourish in this world, this capitalist-driven world that we live in, and so on. In order to achieve equality of opportunity, we believe in three things: education, education, and once more I'm going to say it again, yes, that's right, education. Labour also believe in collectivism, which is basically the nationalisation of all the main things that we have in our lives, which, if you're not from Leeds, is your lecky, your gas and your water. And it also includes railways and things like that, because it basically just stops all the owners from bossing people about. Because normally, if you don't have trade unions and things like that, then all the workers just get, well, pissed off basically. My final point on the history of this great party is common ownership, which is the idea that we reject the ownership of private property. Because if that happens, then at some point, somebody, and by somebody I mean the workers, are going to be exploited by all the people that own private property, which is the rich and the people who shouldn't have that much money in the first place. So this third way then, what's it called?
No, that's New Labour.
So, what's your policy on capitalism then?
Well, we believe that capitalism can flourish because businesses can spend loads more money and this produces loads more jobs.
So, what's your policy on industrial relations then?
Well, trade unions are limited, but workers are protected by law. An example of this is the teachers protected by the teachers' union.
Okay, we're going to take this inside now because I'm freezing me nuts off. So, what can you do for this lass here then?
Now then, my name's Kim. I'm a single mum and the bird needs some nappies.
Well, as well as the minimum wage that we've set up, single mothers who want to work can have the option to work part-time. This will top their wages up by family credits. Also, around the country, we have set up Sure Start nurseries. This will help because the expenses are reduced and sometimes free. This will make the childcare affordable.
As an old-fashioned socialist, I believe in nationalisation of great things like your water, your lecky and your gas. So what's New Labour's policy on economic management then?
Well, as we're New Labour, the state interference in the economy is minimised But borrowing is acceptable for world-class public services. That's why we spent money on the NHS and education. As an example of this, building schools for the future programme and replacing all schools with new ones.
Tories believe that you should be tough on all criminals and it doesn't matter what the crime was. So, for example, I know this Tory fella, right, who believes that you should hang people just for dropping a bit of litter on the floor. So, what is the third way, or New Labour's policy, on this sort of thing for law and order?
Well, because we're New Labour, we believe in a combination of the two. When I was Shadow Home Secretary in 1994, I famously said that we should be tough on crime and tough on the cause of crime. That means tougher sentencing, especially on youth offenders, through the creation of ASPOs, and improved education and welfare spending to prevent people committing crime in the first place, because we're New Labour.
Old-fashioned socialists like me and the Tories both believe that we should withdraw from the EU. What is New Labour's policy on this?
Well, as New Labour, I think we should stay in the EU, however maintaining our independence. I do support limitedly the single currency idea, and I think Britain should only join when the time is right, because we're New Labour.
Good, good.
So, what's New Labour's policy on foreign policy? Because Tories just want to blow everyone up along with those bloody Americans.
Well, I, President Blair, believe that Britain, led by me, should take a leading role in world affairs, help poor countries via increased foreign aid spending, and defend human rights, especially children's ones, because we're New Labour.
Tories have always believed that we shouldn't have a written constitution because the system's always worked as it is, so why change it? So what's New Labour's policy on this?
Well, we've made big steps here. For example, devolution for Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, minor House of Lords reforms, and reduced the number of hereditary peers. We've also introduced the Human Rights Act and the Freedom of Info Act, because we're New Labour.
The modern Labour Party policies are quite similar to what they were under Tony Blair. Labour's anti-poverty policy is quite similar to how it was before. They will attack poverty through the tax and benefit system, and in the long term through education. With inequality policy, Miliband believes that there is good capitalism and bad capitalism. Good capitalism creates jobs for the poor people, and bad capitalism doesn't and treats their employees unfairly. Another great thing that the Labour Party has done is introduce SureStart, which helps failing institutions and turns them into academies, which is brilliant to help education in the country and can help a lot of young kids who are struggling with education get a better education than they would have done before. Another great thing that the Labour Party has done is introduce SureStart, which helps failing institutions and turns them into academies, which is brilliant to help education in the country and can help a lot of young kids who are struggling with education get a better education than they would have done before.